This
Of
call
course,
is
you've
being
been hearing
recorded.
every day from the phenomenal Kathy Weathersby, one of our Emerald directors. She is also the VP of Finance. So we're super excited, Kathy, for all the roles that you continue to wear here at Akana. But I'm going to kick it off because I know we also have a new voice on the line, but she may not be new to each and every one of you because she is someone who has been here literally helping to lead the charge in many roles in many capacities, just such a wealth of knowledge, such a wealth of experience. And again, it's amazing in this industry how you meet people and just sometimes you have just an instant connection. And I remember back when we had the Purple Party, some of you attended that party, but it was pretty awesome. I actually met this woman and didn't get her name, really didn't know who invited her, but her energy just radiated with me. I was like, oh my goodness, I have got to know her. I hope she's on our in our team. I hope whoever knows her is going to follow up with her because she kind of left. It was kind of like Cinderella. I was like, where'd she go? She was gone. But guess what? A few days later, when we were doing a huge meeting just for some great projects that we were moving forward with, guess who showed up in that meeting? She walks in and actually was one of the key leaders leading that project. And so it's exciting for me to welcome someone who is has a goal to be a diamond in our business by April. I talked about giving certain people the key, giving them access, but those are the ones who are focused and committed. And guess what? She's one of those who says, hey, by April, I am going to shine bright as a diamond. She is a woman of faith. She is a mother of two. She is an entrepreneur since the early 2000s in leadership, serving in the ministry for over 30 years, a professional in the financial services for over 30 years. I mean, she is a committed person. As Dan talked about, let's get committed, right? Her gifts are in administration, leadership development, and team building. She is passionate about helping people live and leave a legacy. She is certified in health and wellness as a coach here at Akana, doing her bioscans across the country with her focus again on becoming a diamond leader this year. She is committed to creating blue zones in her family. In fact, an AB blood, and found out a lot of her family were ABs or sons of B and community, and is committed to helping Akana go $1 billion big. Without any further ado, Kayetta Cooks, if you can go ahead and just welcome and introduce yourself and just share with whatever's on your heart.
Wow. Thank you, Melissa. Thank you, our awesome and amazing CEO, Melissa Boston. I just thank you so much for the opportunity, first of all, to be a part of Akana and then to be a part of sharing this morning on the call with Kathy. Thank you so very much. I guess so. Today we're going to be just piggybacking off of what you shared on the call on Monday with one of the acronyms, EGO. So I'm actually a co-host today, so it's a blessing to be to be sharing with the awesome and amazing Kathy Weathersby. And just to give a little background of her, she's a retired microbiologist, certified health and wellness coach. She's an Emerald director, VP of finances, right? And she has her eyes on Diamond this year by April as well. So it's an honor to co-host with Kathy. Kathy, are you still there too?
Oh, of course, Kayetta. It's really been, as Melissa said, your energy draws people to you, and you're one of those people that I clicked immediately with. So I'm so glad that we decided to, get to co-host this together. And you're right. We want to piggyback off of something Melissa mentioned Monday, when she talked about ego, edging God out. And that just spoke to me because, there's really three points that I think that we really want to hit on with that. So guys, grab your pen, grab your crayon, grab a piece of paper, and just jot these down, because as I started thinking about this, Kayetta, I realized that we have to, number one, recognize the source of your ego. And I think about that because everybody's got an ego. I mean, it's a survival tactic to be have a little bit of ego, right? It's a socialized behavior that we learn. But the unfortunate thing is that sometimes we'll let that socialized behavior, that ego, we think we got it going on, kind of air about us. We take it too far sometimes, and we edge God out. And there's been some times where I think about that. So, what do you think about that, Kayetta?
Oh my goodness, Kathy. And what that does, that reminds me of when I was a mortgage broker in my early 20s. And I had gotten so good, learned FHA, VA, new construction, condo reversions. I was doing everything, right? And I went from praying on my knees to God, oh God, to show me a way, to, oh my God, I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Kathy, started to EGO, edge God out of the plan, the very person that put me there in the first place, right? So they were calling me queen of mortgages and all of that. And what that reminds me of is two scriptures. One is James chapter 4, verse 6, that says pride often drives us to edge. It says God opposes the proud. He doesn't like for you to be too proud. Now we can have self confidence. He's not saying he wants you to be not be confident in yourself, but to be proud. He doesn't like that. But he gives grace to the humble. So I remember when the economy crashed, right? I was still calling myself queen of mortgages. Well, I didn't understand that when the whole economy crashed, that means there's no money given out. See, I thought that was my money. I thought my talents and my abilities got me to where I was at, right? So when God put me to a place where I recognized that I had to humble myself, then I allowed God to be able to do what he does best, and that is give me the grace, right? So James 4:6 says, God opposes the proud, but gives grace to the humble. See, pride often drives us to edge God out. Right? It convinces us that we are self-sufficient. I don't need anybody else. I can do it on my own, Kathy. I don't need
Ooh,
you, right?
wait.
I don't
Oh,
need you,
oh
right?
yes.
it's those it's those whispers that tell you, right? You don't need God's guidance. You
You
got
got
it,
this.
right? It's already in you. True, it's already in you, but there's something called divine wisdom, divine knowledge, divine revelation, right? That's that right on time. So in a kind of while we're leading people, right? While we're growing, while we're helping people, right? We want to continue to keep our family, keep ourselves, keep our business in the front of God, right? And not edge him out so he can direct our paths, right? Because pride is subtle. It's
It
not
is.
loud, it's subtle. It'll
Right.
creep right on in, Kathy.
Exactly.
It'll creep right on
Exactly.
in with your thoughts and your actions, right? You become too ambitious. You're so
Right.
ambitious that now you're doing anything,
You
right?
think
Now
you
you're
all
doing all
that.
kind of stuff.
You think
Then
you
it
all that.
exactly right.
I think about
So
sometimes in my life, Kayetta, that I have relied more on myself than on God. And
mm,
so, when we start realizing that it's like you said, and we quit
mhm,
looking to him, we put
yes,
ourselves in a situation where we are vulnerable, not feel vulnerable, but we are vulnerable. And so
yes,
when those times hit you, I suggest that we surrender those times to him in prayer.
absolutely, absolutely.
So the next point, Kayet, I thought about was we need to invite God back to the center of our lives, the center of our mind, the center of our plans, the center of our relationships, the center of our friendships. We need to make God back in the center. And,
Yes,
I think about times in my life where, I think about it, and, now, honestly, I do pray over all my food, so I'm still and that's still a habit, but, the center, like, every decision, every plan, you really gotta put effort into doing that because we go back to number 1. You can think you all that and think you the center.
Yeah.
So,
Absolutely.
so number one begets number two, number two begets number one, and so you have to think about inviting God back to the center. You have any thoughts on that?
Absolutely. There's a scripture that comes to mind, Proverbs. I love Proverbs, that book of wisdom. Proverbs chapter 3, verse 5. It reminds us to trust in the Lord with all your heart and lean not on your own understanding. See, I know it talks about his ways and not our ways. His thoughts are not our thoughts, right? So sometimes things happen. Sometimes you see things. Maybe your business is not thriving, right? And you
Oh
feel
my.
like, hey, maybe this isn't for me, or or maybe I shouldn't be here, right? You have to trust the Lord. You have to trust God with all your heart. It's not about your understanding; it's His understanding. What did He say to you? What did He promise you, right? See, when your ego gets in the way and you think it's all about you, when you start edging God out, it pushes God out of his rightful place in our lives, right? Actively choosing to trust God over your own limited perspective. We got to push us out of the way. We got to get out of God's way. And when you let go of that control, you make room for God's presence and his direction, Kathy.
Oh
Isn't
my God.
that's such
Oh my God.
amazing?
It's so funny. It reminds me when you mentioned that, it reminds me about how Akana was even formed. Melissa went through a little bit of the history on Monday when she talked about how Wakana was the gift of God. And then Akana, when we rebranded, actually means in the hands of God. See, these are
Mhm.
names that we thought we came up with. No, no, no. These were given to us. A name was given to our visionary and true visionary.
Yeah.
That's another blessing from God that just dropped in all of our lives, right? So we have her on the way to on a plane, and she is given this name, and it happens to mean in the hands of God. What? And
Wow.
then we we begin to do rebranding so that we can be more global and really encompass our mission more. And Akana, what it means in the hands of God. Okay. All right. So there's no way that we as economopreneurs can, with this name, with this mission of helping people around the world to learn their blood type, to learn how to eat better, go plant based, and to do the beneficial things for them instead of the detrimental things for them. This mission cannot be without faith,
Absolutely not.
right? Right?
Absolutely not.
And it just so I just say that we should all think about starting our day by inviting God into our plans and asking him to guide our decisions, and that way we can align our heart with his heart.
Wow, that's powerful. Exactly. That's very powerful.
And so on our third point, and we're going to wrap it up, we want to live a life of service and gratitude.
Absolutely.
We do that at Akana. We serve others through our mission. We have tools, we have training, we have the heart of a company to help create these blue zones, first of all in our families, then further in our communities, in our states, in our country, and then around the world. And so if we continue on with our mission to create optimal health around the world, we are doing our part to live a life of service and gratitude. What do you think about that, Kaya?
I think you're absolutely right about that. I always say to myself and remind myself, I don't have to lead. I get to lead. That's an honor, right? We want
Wow.
to be a servant leader, right? I don't have to educate people on their blood type. I get, Kathy.
Oh my God.
We get to educate people on their blood type. Not only that, we get to help them live a better lifestyle. That is a blessing, right? So
It is.
one of the things that I always uh, want to remind myself is that people don't have to follow you, right? They don't have to follow you. John Maxwell says it best: if there's nobody following you, you're just taking a walk. You're
A
not
long
leading, you're taking a
walk.
walk, right? So I'm always thinking, about how it's a blessing to serve and honor. And one of the scriptures that I use as well that goes with that is Matthew chapter 20, verse 26, that says, whoever wants to be great among you must be your servant, right? See, a
Ooh.
self-centered ego, edging God out. See, a self-serving ego, it seeks personal gain. But a God-centered life focus on serving others, right? That's a game changer. The
What?
gratitude and service, I learned, Kathy, it replaces ego is being replaced with humility and remind us of God's sovereignty and blessings, right? So
Whoa.
we want to model Jesus' life, right? He lived a life of humility and service,
And so,
reminding us that true greatness comes from selflessness. Right? Gratitude keeps us focused on God's goodness rather than our own efforts, fostering a spirit of humility and worship. Kathy, what I
oh,
love the way you challenge us to keep God first. What do you have for living a life of service and gratitude?
I think we need to challenge ourselves today. Today, perform one selfless act. Do something for somebody else. Give yourself to someone. It don't have to be about accounting, business, and all of that. Give yourself to somebody. Volunteer an hour somewhere. You know, make a phone call. Make a phone call to check on someone. Just perform one selfless act today that glorifies God, showing His love to someone else, and you will be truly enriched and blessed today. I believe that. So as we
Right.
wrap it up, Kayetta, do you have any closing remarks?
I just want to say thank you for having me on the call. As you said before, we all are subjected to that ego thing, that thing where we get so focused or so excited or so discouraged that we begin to edge God out. So as we shared today, number one, recognizing the source of your ego. Where's that coming from? Where's the lie coming from, right? Second of all, inviting God back to the center, right? And third of all, living a life of service and gratitude. We want to keep that at our forefront, right? We want to get rid of our ego. And it isn't a one-time decision, family, but it's a daily practice. It requires vigilance to recognize pride, faith to trust God's plan, and intentionality to live in service to Him and others. And
Ooh,
as we edge pride out as a family, as a team, and let God in, let's find a deeper sense of peace, purpose, and joy that comes when we surrender those to God in prayer. My closing remark is when we surrender our ego and let God take His rightful place, we experience God's peace, purpose, and fulfillment that only He can provide. And make it your daily prayer to edge pride out and invite God in. Back to you, Kathy.
well, that's gonna preach right there, sister. You go. I love it. I love it. Thank you so much for partnering with me today, Kayetta. We went a little bit over our time, but I hope that everyone was truly enriched and blessed. And it was a blessing to partner with you and to share this message with everybody. So I hope you all go out and have an Akana kind of day. We'll see you tomorrow.
Thank you, Kathy. Thank you,
Thank you.
Melissa.
Thank you, Melissa.
Great job, ladies. Awesome.